You either play it or you don't.
Hold on one second. How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
That's
Hello.
good. I'm doing good.
It's nice to meet you. I appreciate you for coming
Yeah,
on.
you too. Yeah, for sure. Thank you
Um,
for having me, man. It's
yeah,
a pleasure.
pleasure for me. I saw you on Soul's YouTube, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's different. He's
Yeah.
different. Then I went on your Instagram, and I'm like, yo, I watched every single video. I'm like, this is crazy. Like everything you're talking about makes sense. I'm like, what? I gotta talk to this guy, for real.
Hey, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing today? You having an okay day?
Yeah, it's okay. It's gray and gloomy down here in North Carolina. Where you at?
I'm in Delaware. I'm about to say it's the same thing over here. It's
Oh
real
yeah, that
cold.
East Coast. That East Coast real gray.
For real, for real.
Yeah.
But I saw that you do like speaking engagements like with the kids and stuff like that. I thought that was like really
Yeah.
cool. And I saw like how like you basically like spoke like being a speaker into existence. Like one day you was just
Yeah.
like, that's what it is. Like I'm a speaker. I thought that was really cool. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the power of the mind, the power of the imagination, and kind of connecting that spirit world to the physical world. When you're able to do that, things can happen in God's speed. God, like,
Cause it was cause you said that you spoke it out and then someone was just like, I got this speaking engagement and you're just like, all right, like I was like, man,
yeah,
that's crazy. Like how that happened? Like, yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, man. Like I try to tell the kids, try to break it down. That spiritual world being like the fifth dimension, where you can close your eyes and I can still see you. I seen your face and I can still see you. Like I can hear what you said just a couple minutes ago without you speaking right now. You know what I mean? And I can remember what I just said to you without opening my mouth. Those things, if we can see our past, we can also see our future. And that's that spirituality. Like that's that spirit. That's our connection to God or the universe, whatever you want to call it. And then when we open our eyes and we actually use our ears and mouths, that's our physical world. So when I start thinking, of becoming a speaker in that physical world or, my imagination and believing in it and having that desire, it was like, it's kind of like having that connection with a cell phone, the Wi-Fi. We don't see the connection. We don't see these vibrations going through on this Zoom meeting or when we call somebody, but it's there. You know what I mean? And when we believe in our visions and we got a desire for our visions to come true, it's like having that high connection Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? Like having a Verizon cell phone where that connection is always 100. You know what I mean? Like it never drops. You never have to worry about it. But sometimes what happens when we don't really believe in our dreams or we start having that doubt and that fear, then that connection gets weak, you know, and then we end up with a, Walmart or mobile type of connection where it's always fuzzy and sometimes the call drops. So it's kind of hard to stay in that strong desire and belief for some of our goals. But I think if a lot of people knew, and even I still struggle with it, but I think a lot of people, if they knew that piece of information right there, um, they would focus on confidence. They will focus on belief and desire more.
That's crazy. The Wi-Fi.
Yeah. All the Now I was gonna say, like, how like everything was already here. The universe, God had already put everything already here. So 1,000 years ago, where it wasn't airplanes, and you told somebody that we could, fly, people look at you crazy. But everything to make an airplane was already here on Earth for us. And a lot of inventors, they take, they look at birds and how they fly, and okay, this is how they propel and things of that nature. So it's the same thing. Look at whales. we can't hear them speak. I forget what they call it, but it's that vibration that, you know, some things dogs can hear that we can't hear. And somebody, you know, like Nikola Tesla and those, they understood that. And so that's why we get this, the Wi-Fi signal and wireless phones and all that is really just an imitation of universal law.
I just like the way you put that. It makes you like, it just makes you like visualize what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I you said something and it just like it just stuck with me. You said being real or fake is subjective. And I just
Yeah.
what do you mean by that? Like,
It's our perspective. You know, I just like, sometimes I use analogies from, you know, the inner city, just because that's just the environment I come from. But like growing up, everybody say they real. Yo, I'm real, I'm this, you know, I'm 100. Now that you hear that a lot these days, but it's subjective because to you, I could say I'm real because I make money or I get money. And for somebody else, they might not make a lot of money, but they might say I'm real because, you know, everybody loves me, or I get a lot of women, or I attract a lot of women. And somebody else might not have a lot of money, might not have a lot of women, but they what we say an alpha male who they take things, they broad, so like I could take something from you or I could beat you up. So that makes them real. So who's to say that the first guy wasn't real or the second guy wasn't real or the third? Because they all looking at each other like, oh, they not real. You know what I mean? So that's just the way of the world. And I wish I would have known that at a younger age. But you know, everybody got opinions of everybody. And it's our perspectives. You know, we shouldn't judge people because, again, in my eyes, me making a lot of money or me being a father to my children and being a son of my mother makes me real. But you might say, well, you know, you don't do this or you don't do that. So a lot of times, all this hoopla that goes on in the media and just in our world, period, see a lot of gray area where everybody's right. Just because 5 + 3 is 8 and 4 + 4 is 8 don't make your way you got 8 better than mine. So I think we waste a lot of time debating on things that is all perspective.
yeah, yeah. Cause because someone just as easily you could say someone's fake then they're offended because they have so many reasons of why they're not. But then it's like,
Yeah.
how much do you think being like real or fake has to do with how you present yourself to someone else? Do you think that has anything to do with like your character?
As far as like being your true self and being like that's not
Yeah.
really you.
Yeah. How you present yourself in the world has any kind of connection to how real or fake that you could be internally?
I think it's crazy because I think like being real, because a lot of people say, oh, that's not the true you, right? I always think that it's being well rounded. Because for me, I'm talking to you right now. I'm presenting myself in a certain way just so we can be on the same level. But the way I talk to you might not be how I talk to my best friend, where we have a different language. I'm not gonna talk to neither one of y'all like I talk to my grandmother. So in that aspect, you're gonna see three different. You see OD, Omar, O. You know what I mean? So does that make me fake, or does that make me emotionally intelligent to understand and well-rounded as well to be able to speak to you a certain way, speak to him a certain way, and speak to my grandmother a certain way? And they all be three different, but this all is inside of me because I'm an intellectual and I'm also street smart too. And I could talk in a different vernacular, but that wouldn't make sense right now with me and you because I'm able to speak. We can meet a fair ground to where we both understand each other.
Right, right. Yeah, that
And
makes
I think a
sense.
lot of people, yeah, I think a lot of people like it goes back to like people saying people are bipolar or stuff like that. If you're the same in every room or you speak a certain way to everybody, I think that's some type of lack of emotional intelligence. Because again, I'm not gonna talk to my best friend how I talk to my mom. I'm not gonna go in the house, hey, what up, mom? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? I'm aware enough to, it's a respect thing. But some people, like they say again, bipolar. Oh, well, you're always mad, or you're mad and then you're happy. And it's like that's what God gave us all these emotions for. We're not supposed to be happy all the time. Shouldn't be angry all the time. It's a time to cry. You know what I mean? It's a time to be excited. You have all these emotions for a reason. And then when you see people that's always happy, how could you be happy and your dog just died? Or you just, lost your for 20 years. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, there's people out here like that to an extent, but it has to be some type of uh a dial where we have to be aware of what's going on. Because I always say, if you see a child stuck under a car, you shouldn't be trying to lift that car up, smiling and joyful. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's gonna take some grit, anger, and just pure passion. So we should be well rounded.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cause like, yeah, you're gonna be different depending on who you're around. Uh, like everyone somehow met up together. Who you talk to, they probably will all be able to piece together. Are we talking to the same person, even though they
Right.
they show up a little different for each of us.
Right. Yeah, it's a thin line. It's a thin line. Like I said, I have people that I know that say, yeah, man, he's this way or he's this way. It depends on the environment, but in the core, you should always remain the same. And I think a lot of people, yeah, I use the rapper Ti for example. He use these big words, and then he goes to this and he does that. Why you can't be both? Why can't you know words and be intellectual and also be a little rugged on the end? Like that's a part of being human. That's what a human is. We able to morph into different aspects. Only a lion can be a lion. He can't be nothing else. A sheep can only be a sheep. He can't be nothing else. A human, I could be auto technician today. I can get on here and be, a public speaker. I could be a football player tomorrow. So that's the blessing in being a human.
Yeah, yeah. I like I don't know if it's like conscious or not, but we probably definitely like I feel like we as humans sometimes we like have it's like harder to accept like someone like ATI, because it's just like
Yeah.
where did you get expeditiously from? But you over here,
Yeah.
you feel me? You over here, but
It's
but
fear. It's
mhm,
fear. Scared. People are scared to be them true selves. People, society makes it say you have to be one way or another. You got to choose. And a lot of times, I'm just speaking everything I'm talking about. I had to learn because I was a victim of it as well. This society, oh, you got to be this type of way. You got to do this, and I never really embraced what God sent me down here to be. And we all got that gift. It's that uniqueness that makes me OD the great. That makes you who you are. A lot of times, and again, it depends on what type of friends we got. You might have these type of friends over in your neighborhood, but you go to school with these type of people. So you kind of, you know what I mean? You kind of change a little bit when you with your school friends, but your neighborhood friends, you a little different. But it's like, we have to step out and just be who we are. And it's easy to say that now that I'm older, but peer pressure is a mug.
for real, yeah, yeah. It's just like, it's such a like, be authentic, be yourself. Those are just like such simple words, you know, and they come off the tongue so easy. But
Yeah,
a lot of times when you hear authentic, sometimes you're like, what? How could you be authentic? Sometimes the idea of authenticity is a foreign concept to some. So it's
yeah.
just,
I
what?
mean, it's. Now go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, what do you think about that? Like, just the idea of authenticity, why sometimes it goes over so many people's heads. It's such a hard concept, yet it's so easy to say, but it's a hard concept, you know?
Because that's just one of those gray areas. Because like we just spoke on, am I being authentic? Which one am I being authentic? When I'm talking to my homeboys on the corner, or when I'm talking to my mother? Because I might just be talking to her for out of respect, and I might be just saying some things over here to fit in and be cool, and so they understand too. Who am I? It's hard to separate that. Even when I make videos, I'll be like, damn, I want to cuss, because I cuss. I curse, you know what I mean? But I'll be like, dang, I don't want to curse because I want this. I might turn somebody out that don't like curse. So I want to be universal to where everybody can get it and still be myself. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna go over the top and try to press nobody. It gotta come from that place or nobody would, feel it. But it's like, dang, do I want to? Should I be all the way me? Because then I'm just gonna be in that one lane. And some days I might feel like, man, I want to be. Oh, I want to do this, man. Hey, man, shit, this is what it is. And then some days I want to be like, man, you know what? It might be a little kid in Nebraska. They don't know that type of. They need to hear this, or somebody in Belgium that don't really. So it's always that conflict of what is authentic. And I think that we multi dimensional, we multi personalities, like all these things, like they try again, that goes back to that bipolar thing. Like I just think now it is some, extremes, but I think we just multiple, you know, it depends on nature versus nurture, where I'm at and how I'm feeling that day. We got sunny days, we got rainy days, snowy days. So I'm not gonna say I have to be this way out. You know what I mean? Like I'm just whatever I feel, that's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be.
Would you imagine that sometimes we could put ourselves in the box, low key? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. Like, we could low key be putting ourselves in a box because maybe we're intimidated at the idea that I could be this, I could be this, I could be this, and show up like this, a little different than there. At the end of the day, I can still look myself in the mirror and I'm me. That's maybe a little intimidating. But
Facts. And then because we sometimes we worried about people's opinion. That's one of the things that I finally kind of got relieved of is people's opinion. And I think like what we saying right now, what I'm saying, like me being like this today, people be like, man, you know, who is he? Or he's crazy. Look at Kanye. Sometimes he blurting out, he's saying stuff, and sometimes he just chill. Like, but who are we to judge and say, this person, got mental issues, or this person, I think we all go through things, you know what I mean? So I don't put judgment on people, so I don't put judgment on me no more. And that's just what it is. Like, but at the same time, it's that duality. I am my biggest critic too. Because I'm gonna watch this video and I'm like, damn, you shouldn't have said that, or man, I should have did this. So I just try not to take things too serious and understand that, nobody's perfect and don't pass judgment. So don't put judgment on yourself. Just be free. The truth will set you free, and whatever you feel like at that moment, that's what it is.
yeah, yeah, basically, yeah, I feel that. That was cool. I appreciate you for like chiming in on that because I heard you say it, and I was like, man, that's just interesting how you put it. Like, it's subjective, like, as you
Yeah.
said. But
Because
yeah,
like you said, a lot of people put themselves in a prison. We all do it. Like, if we're not careful, like we trying to image to uphold, and And it's like, that's why when you go back and you say like, oh, you know, what's real and what's fake, it's people placing their judgment on you, and only you can be you. So a lot of times, and I've done it in my past, where I've done things that I didn't want to do, but I did it because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. You know what I mean? That's what society told me was right. That's what, you know, a man, or, you know, what I was supposed to be doing at that time. But the later, the older I get, I start to see that, you know, it's that divide and conquer, to keep putting you in boxes, to, you know, keep you away from your greatest version of yourself. You know what I mean? I always use the analogy of, if your favorite color is blue and mine's red, and I'm stuck in Arizona in the middle of a desert, my car broke down, and you ride past in a blue car, am I not gonna get in the car because, you know, your favorite color is blue and mine's red? Like, that don't make sense. Or you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. That wouldn't make sense. Like we just make, and it's the power. I'm not gonna say powers that be. It's society that does that to us, and it's kind of like that puppet master, and they just keep us distracted with fear and all these things to really not open up. Because once we open up, now we're able to understand others. And I could talk to an 87-year-old white lady from Oklahoma, understand like, oh, we got a lot in common. But society will tell you, oh, you gotta, you know, we'd never get along because, you know, that's just how it's made up. And we all prejudiced. By prejudice, I mean we prejudge people. And that's just us putting ourselves in a box, putting other people in a box. And I've been experimenting on that. Just speaking to people that I probably think wouldn't like me, or, you know, they probably think they wouldn't like me, and just, you know what I mean? Trying to break down those barriers that you never know, man. You just never know.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. That actually, that is interesting, because it's like so cliche, but you really cannot judge a book by its cover, y'all. You can mess around and talk to someone, like you said, like you would have never thought y'all could even have anything in common. And this is like, dang, like
Right.
that probably is society for sure. Because we do have like these like pre determined things like in the media and stuff like that. And is, you know, saying like a certain
Yeah.
person, whether they're of color or not, maybe
Yeah.
inclined to be a certain way. And
Right.
that's probably like not like the farthest from the truth. That's crazy.
Yeah. But that's how they able to control, because like you see all the things that go on in this world, and there's certain groups. Oh, well, it was Black Lives Matter or LGBTQ or Asian hate crimes. It's like, imagine if we all those organizations came together
I mean, what?
and said, you know what, we all gonna fight together. You know what I mean? Like, it, you know, it, what are we talking about now? Like, you know what I mean? It's really just human. It's just human life. It's just what it is. Like, you know what I mean? But they have to break us down in these groups, because it's like, oh, well, that's not my group. I'm not gonna worry about it. You know, oh, that's your group. Oh, well, I don't understand that, and I don't want to understand it. You know what I mean?
That's yeah. That's an interesting that's an interesting idea. Imagine if all the groups was together.
Yeah, you know,
That'd be
and all the
crazy.
rest of them. You know, it's like, but it's you know, it's a beautiful time to be alive though, because a lot of this information is coming out, and I don't want to get too spiritual, but it's just like it's a beautiful time on the earth right now. You know, information age. So just trying to do my part, you doing your part, and we doing it together. So that's a
Uh,
beautiful thing.
yeah, it is beautiful. I'm happy to talk to you. You said something earlier. You was talking about the you was talking about like the fifth dimension. What you mean about that? Like, can you elaborate more on what you're talking about? It's interesting.
Yeah. So basically, and I'm not a guru or nothing like that. But like the fifth dimension is, again, like what we don't see. We living in this 3D world, right? And we all know we have a soul, we got a spirit. And basically that's where I don't want to put a name. I call it the fifth dimension. That's where your spirit lies. I feel like that imagination when we go to sleep and we have dreams, like that subconscious world is where it's a certain energy. Like I was saying, that analogy of just like closing my eyes and I could still see. You know what I mean? I could see a Dorito bag. If I say Dorito bag, I can vision it. My eyes is closed. You know what I mean? I could say Dorito bag without, saying it right now, and I hear it. My mouth didn't move. Like that's the spiritual, that's the fifth dimension. And we all daydream. We all like when we looking daydreaming about our future. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm like as a kid, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, do that. We seeing these things like, and if we're not careful, like, because everything that was created, invented, came from our minds. Somebody had to think of a car, somebody had to think of a wheel, somebody had to think of this water bottle, somebody had to think of that first here in that fifth dimension, and then they created it in the third dimension. So a lot of times when we got to check our thoughts, because if we telling ourselves, man, I can't do that, or this ain't gonna work, when we thinking about our future, then it's being created in the third dimension. And in our reality, when that's why sometimes people like, man, why does this keep happening to me? It's because you keep telling yourself subconsciously negative things, fearful things. Why you think they don't show us good things on the news? Or, it's always something to keep you fearful and undecided. Why you think do we have to work from 9 to 5 when the sun is out, when we supposed to be getting, these spiritual downloads from the sun? The plants get food from the sun. We're human, just like every animal, like, there's energy out there, but we stuck in a, outside, or, just trying to make things work, pay bills. So it's kind of like a whole a prison out here that they've created in somewhat to keep us again from tapping into that fifth dimension to create our world in this physical form. That makes sense?
Sure do. So since you say that everything's started in the mind first, and that's how we basically manifested it. So you think that we manifested the news and all that stuff? If this is a prison type of thing that's going on, could we have had some part in manifesting that? Or that it was like completely,
I think it was orchestrated because I think a lot of stuff. Look, I'm gonna start talking like Trump and saying it's fake news, but I'm just saying like everything they put on the news is just bad. But it's a lot of good things that are going on in the world, and then you have to think, a lot of that stuff they put on there to again have you fearful. Because once you fearful, you can't create. You imagine being fearful and then again going back to that imagination and us creating our world. If we just watch the news and feel like the world's about to end, and oh, this happened, oh, we got war, oh, we got this political debate, the stuff that doesn't matter. Oh, we got sports, oh, we got this celebrity. I think a lot of powers that be understand this information, so that's why they can control the TV and the music and the propaganda. But that's why I say also not to get in a cynical type of thing. It's a great time to be alive because now we got other mediums to watch our news and get our news from. We just got to be mindful. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that understand that yet, but I think slowly but surely people waking up and turning them TVs off and kind of, watching Brooklyn on the game of it, yeah. So, get some real news they could use,
it's crazy when you really think about that. It's just like, dang, like it low key, the way you're putting it, it kind of sound like, oh man, they're talking about the meeting going in 10 minutes. That's what I'm talking about, that 40-minute joint.
Man, that was 40 minutes already?
That don't make no sense. I don't know how.
Golly. Yeah.
But
I can go as long as you want to go. I ain't
all
tripping.
right. Shoot, I was about to say, like, we could easily just hop back on the link once I come down.
All right.
And we don't have to like go crazy with the time, but maybe a little bit more. But low key, what you're talking about, it sounds like emotional hijacking. Like we may not understand the, what's the word? The maybe the significance, or yeah, like just of our emotions, like, and how basically like that's just like, this is like how anything, any kind of business or any kind of anything gets you to even walk in the door. They low key tap into your emotions. So it's like, if you don't understand that, then it's just like you probably fall for anything. So the fake news, there you go.
Facts. I mean, we just went through a few years of it, like, but that's been going on for a long time. And you know, and some of the things are, you know, might be real, but it might just be synthetic, not natural. Some man, you know, somebody created. But yeah, man, I feel like once you know that though, like now you got the key to open the door of your mind and your reality and your destiny. And it's still things that, you know, hurdles that we have to get through in life, but it just makes it easier being aware. I think awareness is the thing that a lot of people not aware. I had a family member the other day sent out a group text of a news article of somebody met somebody online, and then, you know, whatever happened, and it's just like, you know, I had to remove myself from the group. It's like, because I talk to them all the time about this information, but it's just like sometimes when you're not aware, like, why would you send something like that's gonna affect me in that way? I'm gonna read this article and get sad, or you know, put somebody in a fearful state. It's like, I understand that this world is not perfect. It's things that's happening, but I'm trying to control what I can control. I'm gonna be aware of what's going on, but I don't want to, you know, some like dwell on that. I'd rather send you something happy that's motivated. You know what I mean? Something that you can use, something informational that can help you be better, not something that would kind of put you in a dark place. But when you're not aware, people do it. So
Awareness, that's another one of them words is easy to say. What do you think awareness is? What is awareness?
I kind of put awareness and being conscious in the same aspect. Okay, you know, simple fact is like, okay, I know I need to stop drinking so much. Like, I'm aware that I need to tighten up my diet. I'm aware that, you know, I need to become a better listener. Some people don't know. Like, some people just like, they drink, they still eating Burger King, McDonald's every day, 450 pounds, not tripping. You know what I mean? Like, running away all their friends. Nobody really want to be around them because, you know, whatever, they a negative person or not, they're not aware of their actions. And yeah, so I think that is like just being aware of who you are, what you're doing at all times, and not trying to be perfect because again, we're all human. Nobody's ever gonna be perfect, but being aware of your flaws because we're all gonna have them. You know what I mean? But just being aware of them and saying, okay, I see you over there, and like, you know, I'm gonna work on that. I think that's beautiful.
It's beautiful the way you put that. Do you,
Yeah.
would you imagine like an awareness like requires some sort of like sensitivity to just maybe your surroundings or maybe what's going on internally?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Can't have it without it. You know, and that just go back to being emotional intelligent as well. Like, you know what I mean? Um, doing that shadow work. Cause a lot of times too, we got we got a dark side of ourselves that society and life tell us we should subdue and not, you know, oh, we shouldn't be that. But just like we got the sun and we got the moon, just like we got day and night, we need both to be one. And a lot of times that's where we get unbalanced, was where when that dark side comes out, you know, that flaw come out, we get down on ourselves, or you know, what's wrong with me? And it's like, that's nothing wrong with you. That's just a part of you again that you may need, you know. You know, you can't let, if somebody comes and try to kill you, like, you're gonna need that dark side to defend yourself. You're gonna need that. So again, we have to understand that. That's just come with understanding and that awareness of checking yourself and understanding other people too, and understanding why they do certain things and forgiving. All these things are awareness. All these things are emotional. All these things are sensitivity that, you know, especially being a man, they tell us we don't supposed to have. But again, women need some masculine, just like men, we should have some feminine as well. That feminine is emotion. We should be more of masculine as far as logic and thinking, but you gotta have some type of feminine. That's that emotional that we're talking about. When you got that, that's how you become whole. And a lot of people ain't whole because they off balance and they don't understand it. They, again, when they had those feelings, they think something wrong. Like, man, I should, oh, you know. But it's just being aware. We keep saying that word.
And that's juicy. The way you be wrapping it up, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. My partner, man, I was talking to my partner, and he broke down something. He said, man, you know why they call it the universe? Because this world is music, and it's just one universe. And it's like, wow, you just think about it, like, the world is music. What is music? It's math. Music is math, so it's like everything is just orchestra. What is an orchestra? Orchestra. Like how the sun comes out at a certain time, how perfectly distant it is from Earth. It gives us life and heat, and the temperature the sun is, like it ain't cooled off and however long, you know what I mean? Just stay this perfect temperature. We got the moon over here, we got this rain, it's like it's been orchestrated. Like, bro, man, life is math, music. It's just so universal laws that just overflow each other, like, but it's all strategic. Like, it's crazy, but it's beautiful at the same time once you can recognize it. And that's what life is about. Just always like peeling back another layer of that onion. Like, I'm always trying to learn something new. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I just want to keep going. Okay, so we can hop on now.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So I'm gonna see you.
All right. Bro.
That 40 minutes goes crazy. I'm sorry. You like a day early. I'm about to get the pro because we not doing this. Like
Man, I think I did. I was gonna say I think I got it on there, but I think I might have canceled, man. I don't use it enough.
facts. It was like,
Yeah.
man, who's trying to be on for 40 minutes? They tripping off that, but
Yeah, you know how that go.
facts, yeah.
Can you see me? Hold on, can you see me?
It looks a little frozen.
Yeah, I was gonna say somebody calling me. I meant to put on do not disturb. Hold on.
Oh, you can. Okay, cool.
All right. Let me see. I'm back.
But I was thinking while we were off, like emotions. This may be a little personal, but like if you could just give maybe like a synopsis of how did you arrive to become comfortable with your emotions? Because I see like sometimes, and I don't, this is just like an observation, it may not be a thing, but sometimes I would notice if a man sees whether like a woman who's emotional outside of them or just a situation that maybe could bring about emotions within them, it seems like maybe it causes like some sort of irritation sometimes. And it comes from like I noticed it comes from like a good place where it's just like, come on, like, like we're not focusing on that. Like, you're good, like, we're not about to focus on that or whatever. We're gonna just keep it going or whatever. But say that doesn't stop. Say you're still emotional or whatever the situation is still causing that within you, then it seems there's like an irritation sometimes towards that emotion. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but I think that it's a combination of what society says you have to be and how probably just growing up as men, you probably do you even get to acknowledge that feeling of the emotion, or are you just taught immediately to not even acknowledge it, and that's why maybe it's not as easy to deal with when it happens? Because I wouldn't know, obviously.
Like when you say dealing with the emotion, like dealing me as a man dealing with the emotion of a woman and my own, or like was it kind of like you said both?
Maybe just in general, if you were to even see that kind of energy even be brought about, like I
Me, you
or
talking about myself?
just men in general,
Right.
if you were even to see an emotion brought about and it's like you can't really control it, but it's still happening. I notice sometimes I think it comes from a good place, but maybe there's like an irritation with that because, and if that is like some truth to it, do you think that has to do with the fact that you guys just are not even taught to acknowledge your own emotions, so you don't even know what to do with it?
Yeah, that's facts. Like society definitely tells us, hey man, no crying, or what you talking about, you soft, and you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Things like that. So when you talk like that as a child, and just think about, like, you look at old school movies in the 50s and 60s, our grandfathers, like, they didn't never show emotion. They were very stern and, manly men. And I feel like it should be a balance to it. Like, cause I don't think you should be like too emotional as a woman, because I think a woman's emotion is her power, and our thinking and our ability to control our emotions and reasoning and use logic is where our power lies. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think a man should be too emotional, but I think we should recognize it, like understand it, like, why am I going through, why I'm feeling like that, and not try to subdue it. That goes back to, like, people always trying to suppress certain feelings that they got, and they don't understand that it's just making digging a deeper hole. You know what I'm saying? As far as me, I always felt like I always had emotion. Like, I always was sensitive. I call myself an empath. Like, I could be in a room with you and I could feel how you feeling. You know what I'm saying? I understand, like, okay, well, and I have sympathy towards it. Like, you be watching a movie and you see something sad, like, damn, I feel for that person. I feel like that's kind of insane if you don't feel that. Like, how could you not? But it's a lot of people out here that don't have that. You know what I mean? They don't have that empathy, that, again, sense of what somebody is going through. Um, as far as me, like, dealing with like women that, are constantly emotional as a man, I understand now. Like, I wish I would know that younger in some, past friendships and relationships. Like, I could have handled it better, but now I understand, like, that same emotion that women have, like, again, that's their superpower. That's how they're able to nurture a child and bring a child into this world. Like, those emotions, like, they're gonna need that to deal with us and help us with things. And we have to find our power as well in controlling our emotions. A lot of guys, they are too emotional. I don't feel like a man should be arguing back with a woman. Like, now you got two emotional people. Like, I think the man should be at sometimes, stern and, using logic and controlling their emotions, but sensing them, yes. Recognizing them, yes. Understanding them, yes. And also be able to express them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a right manner without lashing out, because lashing out, don't get me wrong, that's what women do. Women lash out. You see a lot of men doing that. That's why the homicides and crime, especially in the inner city, black men, you know what I mean? Because not a lot of fathers teaching their sons this. And I had to learn it. And it comes with maturity as well.
Right. Yeah. I appreciate you for breaking it down. Cause can't nobody piece that together like a man. And from the perspective of a Black man is uh is very, very interesting and actually helpful too. Cause it's something
Yeah.
like that like I observe sometimes in men. And I don't think that there's like obviously there's no rule book, especially for this
Yeah.
topic. Like nobody
Yeah.
tells, no one's ever gonna tell you guys. So it's like,
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of it, again, people, I can only speak for, I speak for everybody, but it's just like, stop suppressing those feelings and emotions. Like, cause I always get this topic, like, my favorite artist is Tupac. And I mess with Tupac because Pac was one of them, hit him up, and he can make Dear Mama like. And you know what I mean? He was articulate. Like, he'll show you like the emotional feminine side, like caring for women and just being, and he can also get on your ass. And people be like, oh, well, he was a fake thug. And it's like, bro, you can't like, and that's where again that goes to that bipolar and being well-rounded. A lot of people like try to put you in the box to where like you supposed to be just one way. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Like I feel like everybody has different, but y'all suppress it. And that's when it comes out and you just be looking crazy to me because it's like, come on, man. Everybody wants to cry. Everybody gets emotional about certain things, but again, we've been taught to, but nah, that ain't how it go. Cause you can do it in a manly fashion, and a woman can express her masculine and strong ability in a feminine, And you just look in society now, it's like they combating men and women against each other when we supposed to be a team. I can never. I just don't understand it. I don't get understand men bashing women. Like what? Like you know what I mean? All this bad women out here. It's like, well, you gotta look in the mirror because your reflection gonna be your projection, and that goes back to what you telling yourself, your thoughts, how you feel. That's what you keep attracting. And I look at my past relationships, and I be like, man, why was I talking to her? Well, I attracted her. I was her, the man version of that, and that's why we, we connected. So people be saying, oh, man ain't this, or my baby daddy ain't this, or my wife and divorce. It's just like, bro, you created that. You got to take accountability and responsibility because whatever you put out is what you're going to get back. So until you change you're going to keep getting the same results.
you projected you projecting your emotions and it looks like her.
Yeah. Because that's why self-love is so important. Like you got to think, if you don't love yourself, nobody else can. If I don't love myself, I got, self-sabotaging ways, and I don't feel love, I don't love myself. And you come try to, hey, I love you and take care of me. I'm gonna be brushing you away. Like, because if I don't love me, how can I allow somebody else to love me, and how can I love you? So that's why you have these toxic. They call it toxic relationship because it's just two people that sabotagely self-hate themselves.
Yeah, that's cool. I really wanted to get your perspective because like I know that there's men that talk about it, but I think it's good to hear for like other men, because I definitely
Yeah.
have observed it seems to be a lot of the times the uncomfortability of what those emotions make you feel like inside. And sometimes
Right.
you get angry that you even feel like that. And so,
Facts.
yeah.
And then it be trust too. You don't really, people, we all got trust issues where, you bring out that, like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like, you know what I mean? A soft spot. And, if you're not careful with that, people will try to use that against you. And I think that's what happened with a lot of people as well. I know what helped me was just doing a lot of self-therapy, doing a lot of self-reflection on why I do certain things. And what helped me was just looking back. It goes back to parents, then you go back to grandparents, and you just start seeing like, oh, okay, this thing was kind of installing me indirectly or directly, you know what I mean? And you kind of break those generational curses, and you're able to communicate it in an effective way.
Yeah, that's dope. That's really dope. That uh, it just kind of like makes me think of something like another thing that you said. I'm not sure if it like correlates, but you said dead weight is not always physical. It can also be mental. And I was like, man, that is so wild. Like dead weight is mental. Like, how you even come to that conclusion? How you did that? Like, how do you say that? Like, that was crazy.
Man, just resentment, man. Hate, you know what I mean? Having hate, as a child, I always say we are victims, right? We didn't ask for our parents. We didn't ask to be born in the city that we were born. We didn't ask to be raised in the neighborhood that we were raised in, the skin type, the sex, all these different things. So as a child, we all had traumas. And as we grow and we transition around 16, 17, 18, society now says, okay, you're an adult. You got to be accountable and responsible for all those traumas that you face. And we still play victim a lot of times. Oh, my parents want this, or I didn't have this opportunity. I didn't have, and those things, they weigh down on you having those thoughts, you know what I mean? Man, if I had a father, or my mama would have did this, or, all these different things, whatever it may be. It's just resentment, regrets that you done, when you were young. Oh, I should have never did that. I should never did this. It wears down on you. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive others and let yourself free, get rid of that extra luggage in that brain. You know what I mean? And once you're able to do that, you're able to create your new world, become a new person. Because trust me, this wasn't 5 years ago, this wasn't me. But you just got to constantly evolve and get rid of shit that don't don't mean you no good. And that's physical and mental relationships and all.
How, how do you forgive others? Does it start with you forgiving yourself first, and then you can have the power to forgive someone else? Or like, is it just not even connected to each other?
It's like, I think it goes back to having understanding and being aware. I know as we get older, and you become an adult and you become an older an adult, like especially with me, like parents, I start to see like at my age now, I got friends and I see that they horrible parents or they did these things. I could look back on, life and just say, you know what, they didn't mean that. And then I start looking in their life and see why they did what they did. Because we're victims. They were a child one time. And at one time they might have seen some things. And again, that's how those generational curses keep going, because nobody's willing to look back and forgive the past. And that's what helped me. Like, and some people just don't have it. So you gotta have gratitude that you have understanding, like, because a lot of people are not even conscious again that they fucking you over or they did something bad. And at that point, you have to forgive because they don't know. A lot of people don't, especially like I'll just say family or close family friends. Nobody intentionally is trying to harm you. A lot of times when they harm you is because they subconsciously went through something that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes with everything. Like, that's relationship, friendships. You might have a friend that stab you in your back. Well, they watch their mom and daddy just do snake stuff all they like. That's all they know. They probably was encouraged to do snake stuff and calling it real. Oh yeah, I snaked them out some money. Now that's being real. That goes back to that. But it's just like you have to have that look over them and say, okay, you weren't in my life because you didn't have a father, or your parents were alcoholics. Okay, your parents worked all the time, so you didn't know how to be a parent to me. Okay, now I forgive you. But it's hard to do that coming up as a child because we don't have that understanding yet. We don't understand how it is to be an adult and have to go through things and suffer from mental, a mental, issues or substance abuse. And once we get that information, we able to see for ourselves. We see friends and we go through stuff ourselves personally. Like, okay, I understand. And even if they, did intentionally, like it's for you to get to your future because again, that dead weight, having that slowing you down. So forgive don't always mean forget.
Yeah. Uh, that's I just how what you said in general and how you just like explain that, because I was like, man, that's just like mental dead weight, like you don't think about it. You don't ever think about mental dead weight, like, geez, like, yeah.
Yeah, I've been through a lot of things in my life, a lot of mental health issues, like, and we don't understand that, like, growing up in a home where people were, depressed, drug abuse, and then you see yourself doing drugs, and then you see yourself being depressed. As a child, you depressed because you grew up in a home that's depressed. You don't even know, we don't know these things. And when you're young, you like a brand new car. You can just crank it up. But as we get older, like all that, not getting the oil change, like, all these mental things just start to wear down on you. And that's why you start to see mental health issues after the age of 25, is because a lot of the things that we're dealing with at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up, it's there. And we start to break down because the body is just flesh. So, and the brain is just the brain. So I think God had me go through a lot of things so I get to this point to, again, effectively communicate and have understanding and try to, that's why I do with them videos, just try to put little things out there because I've been through a lot, for real.
How have you like developed your like discernment? Like, is that something that you had to develop?
Yeah, I could say that, but it's also, you know, I've always kind of had it too. But again, life gives you those experiences as well. So it's kind of like that nature versus nurture as well. Like you go through experiences of, people crossing you and things of that nature, and you just start to see. You talking about like people, right? When you say
Yep.
term like
Mhm.
judging people and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just more. Again, they just go to that empathy. Like, you know what I mean? I can just read somebody. Like, and sometimes, as you get older, you're able to do it quicker because it's communication is 95% nonverbal. So a lot of people can say this, I'm gonna do this, do that, but I kind of go on actions and then I go back to see your history. Now you can be saying something, but you know, do I see that reflection from your projection? But I think it's kind of like, it can definitely be learned. But you also gotta that go to that emotional, like you gotta be able to, it's a sixth sense too. So it's a little bit of both.
I feel
Life
that.
experiences against you there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just I don't really hear a lot about the idea of discernment. I feel like that's like just cool to talk about because it literally is like one of the top three things that you could just avoid a whole situation just off of that, you know? But
Discernment is so key. If you don't have it, man, it's one of the secrets to success. You gotta have it. You gotta have discernment, like, and it's okay. It's a skill that gets sharpened with time, right? Like again, that's just being aware of, okay, dang, I did trust this person, they did me wrong. Okay, well, they did show me these traits. Now I kind of like, going forward, I see that type of person, and I can, all right. So yeah, it's something that you build upon, and you have to utilize, in this world. I mean, real.
You because maybe someone has always had their original like feelings about a situation or whatever, but it was the fact that maybe they didn't trust themselves. That's what still keep them in that situation. It's like maybe they always had discernment, but it's no good if you don't trust that you're right about your discernment. So it's like have you always had like
Yeah,
trust in yourself where
that's
you
fact. Oh no. Nah, I'm glad you said that. Like, that's that intuition, like, and we all had that. So maybe we all do have discernment, and like you just said, we just don't trust that intuition. Cause we all been where like, man, I shouldn't do this or this don't feel right, and we do it anyway and be like, damn, my gut showed me that. So I think that's what as time goes, you start to trust your intuition. I think for me, about like 28, I turned 28 and I had a big situation. And my gut just told me, man, look, man, you got to get out of this city, man. You got to go, man. If you don't, something bad gonna happen to you. And I went on that intuition, just packed everything and left. And it was like the best decision of my life. And I look back on that like, man, what if I didn't trust that? And it just happens every day. Like it happens every day. And again, um, if you're fortunate enough to be wise, because some people get old, you know what I mean, and just stay the same. But the game is to, get better and progress and learn and become wise and knowledgeable. And that's one of the things that I've learned. Like, go with your gut, go with your intuition. Because we all know that gut is your second brain. Intuition, again, that's your connection to the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. Like, that's what they trying to tell you something. We should be learning this in school, but they don't tell us that. They got us uh learning why trees are green and all that, but they really should be breaking this down. But that's huge though, that intuition. I'm glad you said that. That was huge right
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool how you like what you said before with like the trust and intuition, because it makes so much sense when you put it
there. Yeah,
together. Like, yeah.
yeah. I'm telling you, that's the universal laws coming together. This whole thing is like music, man. It's just like it's all intertwined. Like everything's intertwined, man. Like real.
That's what, yeah, your friend is on a whole other type of time. Now I'm over here thinking like, is there an equation for everything? Like that's crazy. Like,
I'm trying to tell you why you think they came up with computers. Everything,
man,
all that's synthetic. This real. Our minds are computers. Like, you know what I mean? We all got different software and hardware. Like, we just gotta embrace that thing, man. Life is a beautiful mess. It's like it's a beautiful chaos. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
I like that. It's a beautiful chaos. Yeah. That's really cool. I got this let that simmer like but
What's he say?
I said I got to let that simmer, like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
That was really cool. But where are we at? This I think I don't know if we're like doing too long, like you can just tell me if you get tired. If this ends up cutting off,
Man,
then
listen,
we
I'll
can
be I'll be like, I'll be talking. I'm like, I hope I ain't rambling over here, because man, my mind just be I
yeah.
can go, man, because it's very, very, and I appreciate you bringing me on, because I always love these type of conversations. Some people say, it's just deep thinking, and it's iron sharpen iron, and it's type of conversations that I love to engage in, because this is what I think about. This is what not a lot of people really deep dive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we go on an everyday basis. It's kind of and I'm not really into all that. I'm kind of like a deep diver. I like to, you know, go in and try to find something new and learn things new. And,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
why I like
try
you.
to get back.
I'm like, you my cup of tea.
Yeah, facts.
You said I picked up on something else you said. You said you need the negative to create the positive. And I was like, ooh, I like that. Because it just kind of
Yeah,
gives negativity a purpose. And that is interesting. Like, ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
man. It's all one. You know, without positive, without negative, positive. You know, like a battery needs both positive and negative to get that energy. You know what I'm saying? Like two positive magnets, they ain't. You know what I mean? Like a man and a female, like everything is like yin and yang, like day and night. Again, that goes to all these different things. The universe, God is showing us, like, bro, you need both of them. You know what I mean? You need all this. 10 steps back, like a rubber band or a boomerang. Like you going back, you thinking like, damn, my life. Why is life happening to me like that? But you don't understand that all this stuff that you're going through is gonna propel you to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just,
You
it's so
was who you
crazy.
was. Who you got here.
It's just crazy. Like the idea that like low key, like we cannot survive without each other. That's just a crazy concept because you could get so mad at what looks so negative, You just cast all the stones. And then it's just like, if you really think about it, like, could we have survived without each other? And I'm not sure that I could say no. Like, and that is crazy. That's crazy. Think about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. We need it. We need it. Like rainy days, I mean, sunny days wouldn't be none without a little rainy, gloomy days. You know what I mean? We want to appreciate it. So it's like, I feel like again, like we kind of are who we are before we got here. It was already written. Because a lot of people say, "Oh man, well you came from a two-parent household. If I have your life, you know what I mean, I would be here and there." And then the other person might be like, "Well, if I didn't have any parents, I'd probably be a billionaire because that would have made me hungry to get up out of my situation." So it's always like, if you a hustler, you're gonna be a hustler regardless. Like if you're gonna be smart, you're gonna be smart regardless. Or you're gonna be negative, you're gonna be negative regardless. I don't know. It's just like I've learned to just embrace who I am, focus on who I am, and try to be the greatest version of myself, and just get back and just what I mean. Because we got a lot of negativity getting pushed out here. I'm just trying to push a little P, that positivity. You know what I'm saying? I'm pushing P, man. Young black man that's hip. You know what I mean? In the city, that been through everything, and done everything. Feel me? It's cool. It's cool to be intelligent. It's cool to be, spiritual. It's cool, like what I mean, trying to bring some of that flavor to the world. Cause we got enough rappers, killers, and drug dealers. Hey man, and that's what God brought me down here to do. And I'm finally realizing that. Like, so I'm just embracing it, and I'm just, what I mean, doing my thing with
Thank God you realized it, huh? But
facts. Cause I shouldn't be here multiple times. Like, you know what I mean? Like I should be dead a few times, man, and seen death in prison. So shoot, for me to be here is a blessing. But like I just said, this thing was already written because I can't make this up. I'm supposed to be here.
that's actually that's an interesting like idea. If things are already written, and if somehow it's just that you cannot even, it's so above us, cannot even explain it, but somehow if we have an idea of what we're about to go through before we're born, that would make a lot of sense too. Because like what you were saying, like how kids are like, oh, if I didn't have no parents, I'd probably be off to this. But if I had my mom and my dad in my life, I would have been way different. And it's just like, but you you could that whole thing is like, it makes sense if we have an idea of what we're about to go through before we come here. Because then it's just like, you needed that. Like you only could survive in that fashion to make it to where you're at with those type of conditions. It's like it's hard. It's like a hard thing to kind of talk about, but
Yeah, it's crazy because one of my OGs was talking about that. He a real guy. And he said like something about like we picked our parents when we came down here, and I'm like, what? But like what you was just saying, like that kind of makes sense. Like man, it is crazy to think about because it's kind of like what God say. What they say, like God don't put nothing on you that you can't handle. So He put you where you supposed to be because only you could withstand it. You know what I mean? It's
crazy.
crazy.
And then you can mess around and you be mad that you went through what you went through. And it's just like you could spend your whole life pissed off at something you could at what happened or whatever. And the whole time you already knew what she was about to do before you came. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That was your blessing. Like that's where your power lies. You know what I mean? Like because a lot of times, and somebody said this too, like you can't tell people don't drink if you ain't never been an alcoholic. You can't tell people about being raped if you've never been raped. You can't tell people don't go to prison if you've never been. It's like it's certain things that you go through in life. Like God is showing you, like you're a teacher. Like this is where your power lies. And it's like, damn, that makes sense. That's why I try to, get back to the inner city because I look like them, I walk like them, I talk like them, like so they can resonate it. Now, if I come with a suit and tie and I use my 14-letter words, like they ain't listening to that because I ain't listening to that. So it's just like everybody has a purpose in this world. And like you said, a lot of people play too many victims. I got a family member that just does that. Like they damn near 60 and they still blaming other people or I should have did this, regret. And it's like, you gotta live life. You gotta live life because you only get one and it's short.
Man, that's just, and it's really it is easy to go into that. You'd be like, yeah, like you may think about how just the unfortunateness of how you didn't have any control. So it's so easy to stay in that, I imagine, until you're 60. That's crazy. But I think it's because it causes so much pain. So it's so painful to be hurt. Then you be wanting like some of you just sometimes you may be wanting a little revenge or something, and it's just like it's so easy to stick on to that. Like
That goes back to that spiritual world. Like you gotta want something out of life. Like I always wanted to be a winner. I knew I was gonna. I don't want to say want. I knew I was gonna like. I always like if I fall down and pick up because I'm not gonna quit. Like I always had that mentality. I always knew I was gonna be somebody. A lot of people just don't have ambition or tenacity to do nothing. So they cool with just chilling. They cool with just, you know what I mean, whatever. And that's cool too, because again, I ain't never trying to judge. But for me, when people look at me suffering from drug abuse, drug dealing, I mean, domestic violence and verbal, I seen all this growing up, like mental health, like all this near death experiences. Like I done seen all this and it's like, bro, how did you it's like, bro, I ain't gonna stop. Like I got a purpose and I always knew that. Like I always wanted to not for myself, just like for my community, like my family. I'm the oldest of five. I gotta do for my people. If nobody else do it, who gonna do it? And then besides them, my community, like, cause man, like I said, you just got to embrace your uniqueness and man, give back to society, man. Give back to what I mean, to the world, man. You got to push this positivity out here. It's all the mindset, you know what I mean? The mindset.
I'm definitely about to just like listen to this a couple times over because you the way you just dropping the gems is crazy. Like I got one more question for you. So if the key is to realize your uniqueness, something like that, how do we even acknowledge what makes us unique? I mean, this is such a loaded thing because obviously, like, school doesn't care about our uniqueness, like, so, and then
No,
we literally go in K through 12, and you mess around, go to college, and you done forgot about what even is unique. But how
yeah,
could we even, like, because that probably is something that's strong enough to get us on our track, is us even acknowledging what makes us unique. But
yeah,
a lot of times you don't even know how to even uncover that. Like,
yeah. You gotta spend time with yourself. I spend a lot of time with myself. I spend a lot, like, literally, like, I don't have no friends, like, you know what I mean? Not for real, like, you know what I mean? I don't, like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, cause I'm like, I'm not an introvert. You see, I'm talking like I could be introverted, and I have peace when I'm by myself. Like I travel alone, all that. I have fun, like, but you have to. And I'm not saying you got to go to that extreme, but just spending time with yourself. I was 30 before I went and seen the ocean. Like I ain't damn. Like you know what I'm saying? This is crazy. This is like exposure. I be hiking and all type of stuff. I never would have did that if I was back home. Like, so I just started spending a lot of time to myself and ask myself, what do I like to do? I always wanted to be a speaker, but I just let life, you know, like you said, like, you know what I mean, trying to get money and you know what I mean? Like, bro, we all do it. But I said I wanted to speak. Like, you know what I mean? As I got older, I got that information and knowledge and that wisdom. Like, then I started saying, like, damn, bro, ain't nobody saying it how I say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, like, hold on. Cause I know I always been different. We all different, right? But it's just like you gotta start like the shit that we try to suppress, like, oh now that I want to fit in, you know, as when we kids, like, man, I really like pickles on my peanut butter and jelly. Like, you know what I mean? That type of stuff, like, you know what I mean? We try to hide out, you know what I mean? Kind of just started embracing that and just starts trying to find you a lane, like, cause this thing right here is so beautiful. Like we all got something, you got something in your brain that only you got. You only your idea, like only you could come up with that idea. Like, and I got to saying, like, we all do that, and it's like we just had to spend time on ourselves to keep it short. Because I'm from the run. Just keep it short. I mean, spend time to yourself.
I appreciate
They
you.
get they get us unexpected that time, huh? They ain't give you no warning.
Yes, great. I never, we basically done gone like 2 hours, like 20 minutes shy of 2 hours. This don't feel like
Yeah,
2 hours.
man, trust me. I be talking to a couple of my partners, man. We be on that phone 3 or 4. I be like, man, I be going. That's why I be like, man. But it's good. It's I ain't tripping. It's
I'm
healthy.
not either. It's just like, man, it's really easy to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's cool too because before like I even hopped on, I didn't have no anxiousness. I didn't It was just like, wow, that's how you know this is like a copacetic
Genuine.
thing, genuine type of thing. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you could be hella anxious and it mess around and not even they mess around, don't even show up. And you're like, damn, that's crazy. But it's really
Yeah.
cool. It's so easy to talk to. I'm definitely hitting you up again, for real. I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you to be a guest again if that's cool with you, because
Facts.
for
Because it's
real.
infinite. It's infinite information. It's infinite intelligence out here, man. I can't thank you enough. Like, man, you don't know how that, you know what I mean? For somebody to reach out, like come on your platform, like, bro, that's major, man.
I'm like, I came out of nowhere with that, but
Nah, I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm not, you feel me? It's nighttime. I ain't
Yeah,
trying to hold you after 2 hours, but I appreciate your
yeah,
time, your energy, you even allowing me to come in your space, and being open-minded, allowing me to ask you questions and stuff like that. And just for it to be the end of the year, and to engage in this conversation, and we're in December, like, it's really cool too for me. I feel real good, and maybe about just the start of the next year, so
yeah, facts.
it's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold
Nah,
you any longer, but I just want to tell you
yeah.
thank you for real. Thank you for even gracing me with your presence. This is an honor. This is an
Nah,
honor.
thank you. Thank you, man. It's an honor, man. Ditto, man, for sure, man. I appreciate it. Can't wait to do it again.
Right, right. Okay. All right. Well, have a good night. And I'll be
All
in
right, I
touch with
see.
you soon.
So I'll be looking forward to it.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.